He was sent it by air. Why? Because 12 girls for 5 weeks cost me more in wages than sending it by air. After I had this machine for 3 months, I ordered another one, just as a standby. Because if this one breaks down, I'm finished. So, another one. Then afterwards I bought a huge welding machine, which was welding handbags. And was working 24 hours a day.
How many handbags do you think you've made in your life? Many thousands.
I think the maximum I made in 1 week was 20,000 handbags.
In 1 week?
1 week.
Wow.
It's not clever to make them. You've got to sell them. And thank God.
Well, what an extraordinary story of success to come and be able to be, well, to mechanise
I think
a factory
I
like
was the
that
only factory
in advance of anybody else.
I was the only manufacturer in England who built a handbag factory, who built a factory for producing handbags. All the other ones were in warehouses and whatever it is. And I built a factory.
That's amazing. In terms of the testimony, though, is there anything further that you wanted to say? How was it listening to your wife's testimony?
It was very interesting, and the only thing I hope is that future generations haven't got to go through what we went through.
Absolutely. And that's why we're doing this. I'm going to hand you to Liz, because there's a couple of things at the end that she will ask you to do.
Okay.
But from my point of view, thank you very much for talking to me. I hope it wasn't too difficult. You speak so eloquently about everything, so thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Sanger, could you explain what it is that you're holding in your hand?
That is a paper from the Swiss authorities that I'm an immigrant, that I'm a refugee in English, in Switzerland.
And when did you get that, and why did you get that?
In Switzerland there were 2 different types of refugees. Some, let's say 3. Some who came with a visa, like me. Some who were shot down by the Swiss or Germans when the planes, the pilots, and then those who came over the border from France, Italy, into Switzerland. So called Flüchtlinge.
What is on that photograph, please?
This was taken on the 4th of April 1935. That's 80 years ago, as I told you before. That is a school class on an outing in Frankfurt.
Do you remember that day?
Oh, but obviously.
Tell me about that day.
Pardon?
Tell me about that day.
We went for an outing. That was nothing special. The worst thing was, after an outing, we had to make an essay, and that's what I hated. Okay?
I think we all hated that after school trips, didn't we?
This picture is me carrying a carrot, working in the labor camp in 1941.
So that's when you're in Switzerland?
Yeah.
So can you explain that to me, that's when you were in Switzerland? And how old you were?
As I said before, I was 15 or 16 at the time, and I was drafted into a labor camp. And we're working, as you can see here on the picture, in a quarry, in a road building, and so on.
You told me before when we met that there was one job that was really hard when you had to drill.
That was in the quarry, yeah. I've got no pictures of it.
No, but could you explain the job for me? You said about the drilling.
For building a road, the main thing is stones underneath, but big stones. Look, they're weighing about 50, 60 pounds or more. And in order to get the stones, we were drilling into a quarry. Now the drilling can only in order to put dynamite in it and afterwards to explode it. And like that you get the stones. Now the drilling is one of the worst jobs because the drill grinds the stone, and ever so often you have got to blow in the pneumatic drill in order to get the sand out. And when the sand comes out, when the air comes in, the sand comes out, and there were no masks or anything came into your face, nostrils, everything. Yeah, and you wanted to hold the drill. And so it's ever so often. That was one of the worst things.
Did all the refugees have to work?
Most refugees were, because the policy of the Swiss government was, why should our people go to the army and the refugees doing nothing for the country? That was their policy.
What do you think about that policy?
What I think, look here, they might have been partly right. Why should they live a good life and their own people have got to go to the army and lose a family and the business? It cuts both ways. Right?
Certainly does. Certainly does. Thank you.
And the other picture is us walking to work in the morning.
Did you make friends there?
Oh yes, many.
Do you remember any of the people in the photograph?
Oh yes, I do.
Tell me about some.
And mostly are not alive anymore. Look here, that's a thing of how long? 75 years ago? And they were already also 50, 20 or more. So there are not many alive anymore. And then I don't remember the names anymore. It's a long time ago.
But you had a bit of support even though you were away from your family?
From whom?
Yeah, well, from the men around you, from the boys around you. Did you form a...
We were all working. We were all working. And sometimes in the evening, in the camp. I just tell you something about the camp. When we were drafted in, we arrived. We got the work clothes and got a sack of straw. That we were sleeping in beds, in bunks, under in a room, 3. The first night, you lay on it and fell down the other side because it was round. After a week, this was flat like a thing. So sometimes we got off for the weekend. I went to a friend, to Luzern, to spend the weekend with him. In the morning, he comes in to wake me to go to synagogue. He opens the door and sees me sleeping on the floor. He asked me, "What are you doing there?" I couldn't sleep in the bed anymore. He told me, "Just tell you something about the camp." That's it. Okay, gives you an idea. Right. Thank God we can laugh today. But at the time it wasn't easy. And to look after my little brother.
How did you help your little brother? Did he understand what was happening?
We left home. He saw the buildings, the synagogues burning. I didn't need to explain him anything. He wasn't blind.
Were you a good older brother to him?
Pardon?
Were you a good older brother to him?
You've got to ask him, but he's not alive anymore. Yeah.
Must have been very hard to be.
It wasn't an easy life. But thank God, I've got a good partner, a good wife. It's not always a partner. But I've got to thank God for it. My name is Jakob, born the 31st of July 1924 in Frankfurt am Main. I fled on the 21st of June 1939 to Switzerland together with my little brother. My name is Jakob, born on the 31st of July 1924.
Perfect.